Hello and welcome to the 150th episode of the Card Show. Couldn't have done it without you guys, so thank you. Appreciate you. Round of applause. We made it. And for those of you that maybe are new here, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment on your favorite social, whether that be listen to us through Apple Music, Spotify, or YouTube. So, cut out there. You know, little overlays, eh? For those that are watching, all overlay came up. Like, subscribe. Get that, eh? But let's get into the thick of it. In this week, we'll be diving in some of the hobby's biggest headlines. We're obviously talking about the PSA latest counterfeit interception data. And why fake sort of low-end, mid-end cards are becoming a growing threat to us collectors. We're also covering PSA's $200 million investment. Obviously, it came at the same time as their delayed turnaround times and price increases, but we'll talk about that another time. They're talking about adding 1,000 jobs as card grading demand surges, plus 2 of the newest, hottest sports products on the market. And finally, we highlight a major upcoming show. All right, so we have fake cards flooding the hobby right now. Those that don't know, have not seen it, it's been rife over social media these last 6 to 8 weeks as well. A lot more, whether that's the slabs being put on there. It's been crazy. But counterfeit cards are becoming one of the hobby's fastest growing problems, which is interesting. In its new 2025 fraud report, PSA revealed it intercepted more than $200 million worth of fake and altered collectibles, with counterfeit submissions rising 45% year over year. Pokemon was hit especially hard, including a staggering 407% surge in altered cards. PSA say trading card games are now become the hobby's biggest fraud target, with iconic names like Charizard, Pikachu, Michael Jordan, Mickey Mantle, and Tom Brady among the most frequently faked. The report also highlights how scammers are shifting beyond ultra high-end grails and targeting more affordable cards that can move unnoticed online. To fight back, PSA is using a massive 270 million image database alongside AI and machine learning tools designed to detect altered surfaces, trimmed edges, fake slabs, and other subtle manipulations. The message for collectors is clear: as counterfeit becomes more sophisticated, authentication is more important than ever. Now, this is obviously very telling of where the market is at the moment. We're seeing a lot of, YouTube personalities coming into this hobby, and obviously they're going to their fans now. So we're getting this hobby is Fnatic said it's a 10x hobby, and that's pretty much what they're doing, right? They are expanding bigger than a hobby. And I notice it now in products. If you look at the latest NFL products, for instance, and it's just one I'm looking at, obviously personalized for both Pat Grippen's, chief collection, but also from the elite card investor standpoint of what's going to be the replacement of the Prism Silver sort of thing. And the amount of parallels and inserts and colors is incredible. There's so many. This product is pretty often no end because it's got so many different colorways numbered to this, that, the other, and it's crazy. But again, what this is telling us now is the big cards: Charizard, Pikachu, Michael Jordan, Mickey Mantle, Tom Brady. I mean, they're the ones that people are going for, the names that people know. So you just sort of assuming that you're going to be real, right? And I think this is why we always had that whole, we can just check up on the PSA cert. I think that's something maybe I'll have to do a pod on as well, about the importance of, just because it is in a PSA slab does not mean that is the card that it says it is, and 2, that it is a legit card. We know these slabs can get faked, the numbers get faked, and obviously we know that the best thing about that PSA cert app is obviously you type in the certification number and it'll come up telling you what that card was, is and was graded. So it could come up, it was, you might have a Charizard, base set, 1999 or it may be, and you check in the cert and it could be, Alan Shearer, Premier League stars, 98 something like that. So, this is what's so good about the cert. It'll tell you exactly what came through the PSA system. They log that certification number with the products done. And also it'll tell you if they've made it up completely that, hey, this cert doesn't exist. And straight away, don't get involved in that deal. But what's stacking me the most is obviously the amount, $200 million worth of fake alters, which is obviously, funnily enough, the amount they said they're going to invest in the business. And the 45% year-on-year rise, like I said, Fnatic said about 10x in it. Is this part of the 10x for them? The good, the bad, and the ugly? With more growth in the hobby becomes more opportunity for people, and unfortunately the opportunities, because it is tops, more so sports, obviously holding so many cards, people are just going to start resorting to copying and stuff. I mean, I've seen a lot of the Panini blockchain cards being printed off and people selling them on dodgy sites. Not dodgy sites, even like vintage, so people don't really know, and they're seeing like a Lionel Messi auto and think, oh, guy's really cheap. I get that. No, maybe this guy doesn't know what he's got, so I'm buying it at a good price, and I'm going to sell, at thousands. And it turns out that this guy may be selling this Messi also card for £100. You're thinking he doesn't know what he's doing, and you've leased him. Actuality, you know what you're doing, and it's a Panini blockchain card. You didn't see a little P in the blockchain, and it's just a printed card, printed also that you've now been fleeced. It's worth nothing, So it's crazy. That's 407% is crazy. What a little surge in altered cards. I will say, well, the altered card stuff, I know a lot of that does come back from random like sets. I know the Sports Illustrated, sometimes they just say that's altered, because it's the perforated edges. So I think that's probably been a bit more of a play the last couple of years, especially with the Victor Wembanyama. He was in Sports Illustrated in his French team. I can't remember the team it was called now, but I know that was getting sent in quite a lot, and there's other players from there, a lot of golfers as well that have maybe been in there as well. So that could attribute to that sort of stuff, because I think people seeing the Sports Illustrated plays a bit more now, like, oh, get Sports Illustrated, you'll get the rookies of some people. I think it was Scotty Scheffler, that was his first card for like, good 5 or 10 years. It was like his first and only card he had. So yeah, crazy. It's interesting as well that he said that obviously they've got a massive 270 million image database alongside AI and machine learning tools, because they've openly said before about they'd always need to be human graders. We're seeing obviously a lot of AI, machine learning tools, companies in grading cards popping up. The biggest one at the moment for me is obviously AGS, because obviously US and a UK base, and I think they were the fourth or third biggest grader for last 4, 5, 6 months it's been now. They're really shooting up the ranks. Yes, there's Tag, but obviously they didn't have the place in LA, I think it is. I think they had some problems with the wildfire stuff that happened up there as well. Tag sort of, I feel like it's on the East Coast. I feel like it's in New York maybe area, and obviously they have the one in London now, so they have a lot of ease for growth, and it seems to be a very sort of quick turnaround with them. So again, I do have a video just saying for cards to them, so I should release that sometime. But yeah, I found it so easy. Good company, what can I say? They're also at the last MCC, and they were grading cards there as well on site, which is cool. That's another thing as well, like with AI grading, just having the computer, the scanners, and then the encapsulation machine, and depending on how many you could take and how much room you've got, you could do offer so much on-site grading, which is cool, and it's a really good price as well. So shout out to them. Next up, the demand for PSA services has grown exponentially over the last 6 years, prompting significant changes to operations. So you may have seen that PSA put out their little message, little bit disrespectful, but the other part of their message saying about how they're obviously having to put an extended period on submissions. Um, they've changed the turnaround times yet again. They've obviously put the price up yet again. But obviously, they have said that they are investing 200 million spending into expanding PSA's operations over the next 18 months, including plans to grow its physical footprint, develop new technology, and hire more than 1,000 employees through 2026. Now, I have heard of rumors that obviously they don't pay very well at PSA. This is the problem they have. They hire, you know, pretty much anybody that applies. Because the turnaround staff's pretty quick there because of the pay. The people don't want to be stuck in a room looking at cards 8 hours of the day. And yeah, I think it gets very boring very quickly for a lot of people, so they move on. So this is probably another reason why AI and computer grading will be so relevant and so prevalent in the next few years, because you don't have to rely on humans to be looking at these cards. They're literally just processing it onto a scanning machine. The machine does the rest of it. They put it into a capsulate machine and encapsulate the card and done. Whereas having PSA, where it's one person will go through the card, there is also a secondary grader as well. So you've got sort of two people looking at his card, God knows how long for. They learn that. And that's just a grader, right? There's obviously other people that go through the authenticity, the labels, all of stuff. So yeah, maybe this is something you should look into as well. Actually look into operations instead of spending so much money. But hey, who am I to say this? It's interesting. They know that with the rise of collectors becoming increasingly selective with submissions because of the price, yet they put their price up. Interesting. And don't forget, they still put a surcharge if your card then grades well and is worth more than like $500, and we accept it. But yeah, they seem to say no. Their whole point is that the fact that grading is increasingly tied to value and investment strategy across the hobby. I don't know, man. I don't know if one company should have this much control or power, but they do. I don't think they should, but they do. I just will say, Beckett were kings for a long time, failed to adapt, and they fell off. I wonder if PSA would be the same. Will they fail to adapt and fall off? I think the Pokemon community in general is kind of 50-50 with PSA. Like a lot of them will, a lot of Pokemon cards you'll find graded. There's so many different grading companies. And then with the whole, it's a 9, we'll buy it off you, then grade it again, it's a 10 scenario and other things. It's interesting that that's how it's going. So then if you're losing a lot of the Pokemon TCG side, which is a massive part of the market, you really should treat sports a lot better and your customers in general better. But I think they might struggle a lot. I don't say I hope they struggle. That's kind of harsh, right? But I think I personally prefer an AI sort of grading, a consistent scanned grading system over a human. That could have a bad day. Like we've always said, a human wakes up and has a bad day. Might go through stuff at home, this, that, the other. Might not know about cards. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's a bit too inconsistent. That story of cracking slabs and resending it and resubmitting it, and it goes from an 8 to a 10 or sort of stuff. I just don't see it. I mean, I mean, AGS have proved it numerous times. I think Tag have done it all numerous times where they've sent in the same card, cracked it open, sent it again, and it's consistently the same grade. The same scans come back. So yeah, we shall see. I mean, what are your thoughts on this whole? This has been a PSA 15 minutes now. Whether it's them talking about the fake slabs, and don't get this, only PSA talking about fake slabs. God knows how many fake slabs have sort of slipped through the net at PSA. The ones that maybe at Beckett, SGC, other grading companies that you may like. It is crazy thinking, and obviously with PSA then saying about the demand for service is so big, we're gonna have to expand. I mean, we see the numbers from sort of gem rate. If you look over there, they do grade millions, but other companies, yes, they are behind that by quite a bit, but it's still a significant amount. Grading is only going to grow again with different companies because we have so many people coming in. And it's like I said, if you're outside of US right now, you're seeing these, it's near enough 6 months, I believe. Is it 100 and something days, 130 days? 150 days, that's like, it's like 5 months. And that's obviously from when they get it, not when you send it off. So you may be talking 5.5 months by the time you send the card off. Select submission, send it off. It gets over there. It goes through their process, and then they send it back to you. And then since it gets held at customs for a bit of time, then comes back to you. So you're looking at maybe 6 months, right? Half a year. When you then, for instance, if you're in the UK like myself, you have ACE, MGC, ADS UK that are going to get these cards back to you in 2 weeks. Yeah, they do have other services for sort of similar price to what PSA charging there for 6 months to get it back in a week or sort of thing. So, we know that MGC do is it gold, silver, and bronze. I think ADS do like a premium tier, whatever. ACE do a expedited, whatever it may be. So, they have that option. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, again, this is just a tiny short of UK and how the growth will happen there and where it's going to go. But it's going to be interesting to see if we see a lot more ACE, MGC, ADS cards, maybe someone else, another brand, because of the turnaround. So we're going to see these at shows a lot more because, it shows every week over here. So also, if you've got latest products, are you going to want to rip the latest products, whether that's Premier League, NFL, whatever, and send it off, wait 6 months, and then know that 7 more products might come out for you in that time? And by the time you get it back, it's not where it should be or was when you send it off. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Don't get me wrong, certain cards will always hold that value, but a lot of it won't. So it's going to be very interesting to see. What's interesting as well, obviously, using the Market Movers app. If you want to use the app for data as well, head over marketmoversapp.com, use the code Mahomes, and you get 20% off discount of any package you choose for life. So, sure that now I should really chuck in a little overlay of that, shouldn't I? But instead, like, subscribe, there it is. YouTube, all this jazz. Spotify. What else is it? Apple Music for podcast. And obviously, just go over to Instagram, the TikTok, Patrick Mahomes, Elite Card Investor. We appreciate it. But yeah, using the data from Market Movers, it was interesting to see that they have like an SCI, which is a sports card investor, 500 index, which tracks 500 of the hobby's most prominent cards, maintaining 0% over the last 7 days. The broader market is now up 6.1% over the last 30 days, and it's up 12.7% over the last 9 days, and an impressive 20.6% year to date. 90s basketball cards continue to perform strong with 12.4% rise over the last month as collectors continue chasing iconic inserts and Hall of Fame stars. In comparison, vintage hockey from 1960 to 1979 struggled, falling 6.6% over the same period. Ooh, yeah. So yeah, interesting look at there what people are going for. Vintage hockey, that era as well. I can't think, and no one sticks in my head of that era. Like I if I say vintage hockey, I'm looking at Gretzky probably, like early Gretzky. Gordie Howe is interesting, right? Especially like the legend of the game before the man before the man. But yeah, and obviously 90s basketball, everyone's going to know of, obviously Kobe late 90s, but Jordan was obviously the guy you wanted from the late 80s into the 90s. So no surprise that people are looking back into that era. Yeah. What should we go into next? We do have the well, I did talk about, highlighting a major show. And it's interesting because it's not until next year, but it's the next London car show at the Excel. So tickets are on sale already, especially for, and for all vendor and sponsors. I think they did really well because of the massive success of the last one or the first one there. It made a lot of sense in keeping that buzz going and getting it back out there again and let people know, hey, get your tickets, buy your tables, vendors. And I think you, as a vendor and sponsor, out of you sponsor as well, you should spread the payments, which obviously if people are just thinking a year away, it might make it a little bit easier for you. I think it's going to be, well, I presume it's going to be bigger. It might be slightly bigger, but just the way that London Car Show works, they do everything like incrementally bigger and better. They're very methodical thinkers, and they very rarely miss. I can't think of a time they've missed personally. I've enjoyed every show I've been to. There's always been a growth, something bigger, better. So yeah, I think it's very interesting. It's even more interesting to see from like each corner of the world where people come from. That's something I've noticed a lot with London Car Show. There's not many shows in the UK that do that, like have so many people from around the world come. There's probably like a handful, and even then, it's mainly Europeans. But yeah, the London Card Show continually has a lot of people, like obviously a lot of Europeans, but also a lot from outside of Europe coming over. So it's going to be very interesting to see like how much of the world comes to this, how much of a spectacle it's going to be. I'm very intrigued. Obviously, I missed out on the last one because things just didn't work out, which is unfortunate. I learned a valuable lesson out of that week. So yeah, I'm tempted to sort of book everything now, get the hotel sorted, get a ticket sorted, and just below. And then if things work out elsewhere, I got a ticket that I could give away, or two. I might buy two to just give them away. We shall see. Because obviously they sell out as well, so maybe get a secondary market for London Car Show tickets. Uh, but yeah, let me know your thoughts on this fake cards flooding in the market. Have you been a victim to fake cards? Have you bought a card that's fake? I'm not gonna lie, I've never thought about it as much until recently. It's like I've bought a lot of cards in the past, bought a lot of cards still, and I don't always, if ever, very rarely go and check the cert when I'm buying a card. I suppose it helps on eBay over a certain threshold, $250, $249, where you get the authenticity guarantee. But yeah, especially when it comes to some of the raw cards I've bought on there, where you obviously don't have a certification number to check, you're just sort of assuming that these cards are legit. And that's going to be something that we have to check even more. There is a few apps out there that do like a check it's real. I don't know how trustworthy they are. I swear I downloaded one long ago. Let me double check. Sport decks. Was that it? I don't know. There's been a few of these little random apps that keep popping up, and always like, oh, it's like lifetime for £50. I'm like, interesting. I reckon you can tell if your cards, even like raw cards are real or fake. I mean, if it works, it's great. I'd be surprised if it does, but hey ho. But yeah, it does make me, I don't want to say question, but yeah, I am a bit more warier now, I should say, of the amount of fakes. And again, I know they're saying it's a lot more of the bigger names, but I think it will seep into every player, every pack, every sort of, booster box that gets released. I think I've seen personally in my own eyes on Temu people selling Prism and even Flawless sort of stuff. So, and I'm assuming they're not legit because of the price point, right? They can't be selling hobby boxes of these products for for pennies. Um, so yeah, I mean, if I'm going to presume they're like horrendous fakes, and you notice, like I said, the Panini blockchain ones before, you sort of know straight away. Oh, it's got a P and a sort of chain underneath it. It's the Panini blockchain stuff. That's not a legit card. But yeah, if they're now releasing this Topps Chrome, but like a quote unquote TV version, like how good are you going to be? Like, would you self a picture? It's all got a picture of a penny sleeve and a top loader and the card in, and it's just like maybe it's like a random insert. It's like 275. Yeah, it's gonna be difficult. I think this is. I've said it before. It's becoming one of them stages now where because they are sort of such a monetary value in it, and there's big more of an investment even as a collectible, that you really have to be in this hobby. Like, you have to pay attention to the details, whether that's looking through checklists, trying to go through like the certification numbers if it's already graded, trying to find out if there is such a card as this out in this set sort of thing. I think we're lucky because there's a lot of this information out there, and maybe it's not all in one big place, but it's quite easy enough now to find out. Like if someone's got let's just say like a random made up card. Let's say it's a flawless 2024 Lionel Messi auto. It'd be quite easy to find out if that product existed, right? So you find it on some social media or somewhere. It'd be easy to go on Google, find out, type in flawless Lionel Messi 2024, see what comes up. You find a Panini flawless 2024 checklist sort of thing. Obviously, let's say soccer. You'd be able to find out on some site sort of thing. So it used to be a site. I can't remember what it's called now. There used to be a very good site for this sort of stuff, and then it sort of withered up a little bit, and I can't remember what it's called. Beckett was good at this for one point. Now obviously with Topps, they sort of release a checklist with stuff as well, which kind of helps, and obviously a lot of stuff now, basically license stuff, is going to be through Topps, so it makes it a little bit easier to check that one as well. If it is a Topps product, but yeah, if you're getting, a couple of years ago, sort of altered cards being said, we talked about Tom Brady, Mickey Mantle, Michael Jordan sort of thing. I'm going to presume that they're going to be copies of their biggest cards, and the Charizard at the peak is they're going to be the biggest cards of these players just fake. So, knowing that the card was in the set is great. So you don't think it's real, but also it's you have to find out that this is just a counterfeit card. I think the good thing is if you're buying a Mantle, Brady, or Jordan sort of iconic card, it's probably going to be over the 250 threshold for a PSA for an eBay authenticity guarantee. So that should give you some sort of cover there as well if you're buying it off eBay. I think that's another thing as well. Make sure you can buy it off somewhere that does that sort of stuff. If you're buying it off Vinted, maybe this is, again, a bit too good to be true. Maybe it's something you could sort of say, hey, why has this guy got this message, got this item on Vinted, not on eBay, where it has a guarantee? Yeah. Especially if it's raw, right? Why has not graded it? Why hasn't done this with it? So you can always ask questions about them sort of stuff. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. And then obviously with the PSA news around turnaround times, the price increase, the investment. Is PSA reacting instead of sort of leading and taking action first? Like would anyone have said it was a bad move if PSA a year ago, or even come out of COVID and said, hey, we saw a massive demand, we're seeing this together, we're going to invest this to make sure this doesn't happen again, because it happened during COVID, right? And I get it, there was, stuff you couldn't factor in there, but you sort of hope that a percentage of those people stay, right? And you sort of go, hey, let's increase our workflow by X, Y, Z percentage, because even if 80% of these people leave the hobby of coming in it through COVID, that extra 20% is an extra 20% of people who are grading more cards now. So let's make sure our workforce is up 20% to keep up with demand. And then when you hear about Topps and the products, and the licenses and their expansion and what they want to do to hobby, and you as PSA want to be at the forefront of this, make sure that you don't have this sort of stuff. Because if PSA were doing the 30-day turnaround sort of scenario, honestly, no one could argue anything. You couldn't say, "Oh, why are they top of the? Why are they top dogs? Why is everyone going to them?" 30 days, yes, it's not as good as other companies, but when you are the best company and no one demands the most value, people will pay it. People will pay it and won't wait. Like it's only just no, it's just 10 days compared to 10 working days compared to everyone else. So worth it. But 6 months pretty much is crazy. I mean, I don't know when the Germany one opens and if that's like a actual grading center that would help Europe or not. But yeah, it's crazy to me that they have such a chokehold on the market for sort of subpar, like, I won't say workmanship, but it's like subpar business. You know, I just really do see it as subpar. I just don't understand it. Don't think we get this respect we deserve as collectors and investors. And yeah, I think this is really poor. They sort of yeah rest on the laurels. So not impressed. Not impressed. I still continue to buy PSA slabs though. So what can I say? What can I say? Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I was going to do something a little bit different. Could have been 150th. I thought about a round table again, but my life was a bit too hectic. I couldn't really get the schedule sorted, so I'll have to do it another time. But I'd love to get a round table. I still got to get a few guests on. I just need to book up my ideas a little bit. But yes, so if you're listening to this, Peterborough Sports Cards, hopefully in the next few weeks, um, when he's available, I will try and get him on his calendar for sure. I'm very excited to have Kieran on. So yeah, there's a few other people as well. I don't want to shout everyone. I don't shout everyone. I don't give them all the way. Give them all the way, do I? So yeah, but yes, I definitely need to get Peterborough Sports Card on as soon as. Like been so bad, so I apologise for that. That's on me. But everyone else, I love you and leave you. I appreciate you listening this far, and I will catch you soon. Peace.